Parfait. Oui. Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining the free global Pluribus webinar that we're hosting every month. Very happy today to be with Laura Bacci, thank you, and with Kim Adamson, who is based in Copenhagen. So we will have, of course, the opportunity to introduce ourselves. So my name is Isabelle Pujol. I'm the founder and director of Pluribus. Pluribus is an inclusion and diversity consultancy working at a global level. We have been working in that topic for nearly 20 years and with Pluribus 11 years. So for us, it's very important to be supporting teams, employees, managers, organizations to succeed through inclusion and diversity. Diversity being all the facets, visible or invisible, our differences, our commonalities, and inclusion being the key actions to ensure that all the diversity facets are really optimized and capitalized. So we've decided to host a free webinar every month, once every month, just to give our partners, clients, colleagues an opportunity to share something that is meaningful for them. So today, Laura Bacci is going to host the one on linking inclusion with customer service, which is really a practical and concrete topic. And she will be supported by our guest speakers. As I said, thank you, Kim, for joining us, especially from Copenhagen. And today, Laura and I, we are here in Waver, which is 20 minutes south of Brussels. It's quite freezing today. And we know that we have participants from all over the world, so really very warm welcome to...
welcome everybody to our webinar.
Yes, welcome. The webinar is going to be recorded. So we know that we have participants live today. At the same time, we know that this webinar is recorded and it will be put on various platforms, including our new Pluribus website. And I'll tell you a little bit more at the end of the webinar. So maybe Laura, do you want to give the structure of how we're going to spend the next 1 hour?
Yes, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the subject during 30 minutes. I'm going to be making some points and sharing some thoughts that I have on the topic, inclusion, and what's the impact of inclusion on the performance and the excellence in customer service for companies. And then Kim from Denmark will also share his insights from his point of view. He's actually a senior lecturer in the Copenhagen Business Institute. As a lecturer, he will be sharing his insights from the research and the practical experience that he has on the topic. And then we'll open up for questions, so don't hesitate to send your questions whilst we're speaking. We will capture them and we will open up for questions. We will be answering questions after we've spoken for about 30 minutes. Yeah? Okay. So what I was, when I was trying to think about the topic for the webinar today, I thought that we had to concentrate on something that was very specific and very important, and that is revenue for the companies. And how does revenue, how do we make the revenue? Well, that's through customer service, and that's through selling, whether it's a product, whether it's a service. How do we make the customer service experience special for our company's clients, so they want to come back, so they want to become ambassadors for our brand, for our company? And then I was thinking about, okay, how do we link diversity to customer service? And I've noticed that there has been a lot of research done around the topic of diversity and customer service, especially when there are global companies that have had to tailor the way in which they provide customer service throughout the different regions in the world. And there has already been a lot of research on cultural diversity and how it is important to have, for example, staff from the same country selling to potential clients in those countries or that region, so that the people are culturally sensitive to the traditions and the religion, etc., of potential clients. So today I want to go one step forward and talk about inclusion and integration, because of course there might be cultural diversity overall within the company, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the sales team is diverse. And this is a topic that I've come across a lot in the work that I've done recently for several companies. And I wanted to share with you because, for example, in the car manufacturing industry, there's the car manufacturers and then there's the dealerships. And it's true that there's more and more diversity in the automotive industry from the production standpoint, where there's a lot of people from different cultures and diverse backgrounds working in the manufacturing of the cars, and working also, once the cars get to the dealerships, working in the dealerships on the technical side, either working on the repairs to the cars from the motor repairs or the outside of the cars. So the repair, there's a lot of diversity there. There's people from different backgrounds, but what there's not much diversity is in the sales team, because the sales team, especially in the automotive industry, the sales team is often male. It's still often male, and this can have a big impact on, for example, potential customers like women who might feel that the salesman is not approaching them in the way that they would like to be approached, or not listening to them or to their interacting with them in the right way. So I just wanted to share with you this example, which is the car industry. And something that occurred to me, that happened to me in December, when I was actually working, not coaching in a dealership, but working, I also worked as a mystery shopper for one of the car brands. And what I did was I had to be a mystery shopper and go into a dealership. And I decided that I was going to test the salespeople there in the dealership. So I didn't go by my own. I actually went with a friend, a male friend. And what happened was that we started walking around in the showroom, and then suddenly the salesman passed by, and he didn't approach me. He approached my friend because he thought he was my husband. Just like saying, I'll let you have a look at the car, and if you need anything, come and see me. So he didn't approach me, whereas I might have been the one who was looking for a car to buy myself. And he could have approached me and asked me, what do you need? What kind of car are you looking for? What are your needs in terms of model of the car, or what would you prefer in terms of having family requirements or traveling long distances? What would be the right model for you? So that was an interesting experience. And I did this mystery shopping in a few different dealerships. And I always had the same reaction. And that is that, first of all, it was a male salesman, and all of them in the dealerships. And yes, there were women, but they were mostly in the reception area of the dealerships. So they were saying welcome to the new clients, or they were offering coffee, or they were taking the repairs, but not actually interacting as salespeople with potential customers. And this is something that is very interesting, I think, and is still happening in a lot of different industries. So I wanted to share with you this experience. And I was wondering, for example, from Kim, are you still there joining us? Kim? I think we might have lost Kim somewhere. Okay, so I'll carry on. So I wanted to share what I find are some, now that I've talked about my experience with the car and automotive industry. Oh, there is Kim. He's coming back to us. I think he's got some connectivity. Ah, here, Kim, here you are. Can you hear us? Hi? No. Well, I'll carry on sharing some best practice examples. Ah, here you are, Kim. Okay. So I wanted to hear from you about what.
Well, I'm back. I'm sorry. It must be the freezing weather in Denmark.
Okay. We're not hearing you very well, but I think the connection is a bit slow.
It is.
Okay.
And can you please repeat your question?
Yes. So I wanted you to share with us, what do you think? You work for the Copenhagen Business School in Denmark as a senior lecturer. What is your what do you see as the new trends in customer service and inclusion that you can share with us?
Well, for the time being, what we're looking at is the big differences that are not only between different parts of the world that go from China to the US, or from China to Japan, or to Austria, or even to Europe, and all these differences are between also countries within Europe. So that what we see as the tendency is that from just a few years ago, we were talking about global marketing, which was one size fits all. It's more getting into that we have to know specifically which markets are we.
Oh, we're losing you a bit there.
Into and who is that I try. So one thing is that we cannot only look at one size is fitting all. It's actually that we have a lot of small segments we have to look into. That's one thing. Another thing is, especially from a European or US perspective, we are thinking that everything is going digital, and everything has to be just going via internet sales or whatever. However, there are lots of people around the world who don't have a computer, and there are people who don't know how to use a computer. So computer marketing and digital marketing is not either one size fits all. It's also a matter that we have to remember that we are different.
So maybe, are you saying that?
Then we have to be very sure that we not just go to market plan.
We didn't hear the last sentence.
So we have to be aware of that it's not only one go-to-market plan we have to make. It might be several.
Yes, Yes, and this is
and same thing is that our market share and coverage might be very different between markets.
okay, and this is something that I
and another thing is that
I'm going to carry on.
I couldn't hear your question.
I'm going to carry on. So some best practice examples. Now that we're talking about, for example, the automotive industry, there's a different way in selling. Because, for example, whereas before there were normal dealerships where people go into, and there's the father that has bought a car there, and there's an uncle, and there's somebody from the family, and that's why you go to that dealership. Today, there's a difference in the way that people actually buy their cars. People tend to do research at home. They look at different automotive brands. They do research. They compare the prices. You can actually create your own car with the software that is on the websites of the car manufacturers to see what it would look like and what it would cost. And from there, once they've got all this information, they decide where exactly they want to go, to what car dealership they want to go and continue their shopping face to face. And one aspect of this, which is very interesting, is I don't know. Kim, we're having some problems.
It's always. Yeah, and I have problems hearing you. I got the message up saying that the connection is a bit unstable. So I might miss some of the questions you're giving me. We see the same tendency. We can stay within the automobile business. Many are buying their shoes via internet, and they even design their shoes themselves on the internet and buy them. And this just shows how individual things are becoming. And some of the big shoe manufacturers is having tools to design your shoes yourself however you would like, and then just take bits and pieces wise and with the foot soles and so forth, which is just stressing the tendency we said before that one size doesn't fit all anymore.
Yeah, and if we carry on in the automotive sector, one thing that has also interested me is that whereas there are certain car manufacturers that still sell their cars via dealerships, there's others that are not creating their dealerships. For example, Tesla, which is this new brand of electric cars. And they don't actually have dealerships anymore. They just have a very small pop-up store in a shopping mall, and where they have just one car that is exhibited, and the rest of the shop is actually screens where you can, with software, you can actually see how much you will be saving in terms of money if you buy an electrical car compared to a normal car that you can buy with petrol. And that you can actually create a 3D image of your Tesla car and see it in the color that you would receive it. So it's just a pop-up store for you to experience the car, for you to see the car, but the actually buying the car, actually going to receive it and have it delivered and then have it fixed if you need it, is done outside in an industrial zone. So nothing in the center, nothing in the towns and the cities anymore, but in other areas. So there's more, and I think this is a trend that is coming up also in different industries, that there's more and more pop-up stores. What do you think, Kim?
I totally agree, because you can go to fashion wear, and you can go through every main in every city in Europe, see the same shops there being kind of flagship shops, where they only are showing there's newest fashion. But actually, if you go to the website, you see a humongous amount of different show off.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't hear you very well.
So that's another tendency. We actually had.
Yes, we can't hear you very well, Kim. Maybe what I'll go on to do is to talk about best practice and how some companies have managed to have very diverse sales force and have integrated them to create excellent customer service. One of the companies that I wanted to cite is Decathlon. I don't know if all our viewers are aware and know this shop, but it's a shop. It's a sports shop. It's a chain of sports shops, and what they're very well known for is for actually providing sports articles for any kind of sport, but at very different price ranges, so that everybody can actually afford buying sports clothes and accessories. But what they're very well known is for having trained their sales force and having people from different backgrounds who really know a specific sport and practice it, so that they can interact better with potential clients, because they really know, they have the expertise of what kind of sport it is and what are the things that work, the things that don't. And this additional knowledge that makes them experts is what allows them to interact well with clients and what makes clients want to come back to Decathlon. It's actually very interesting as a case study, because they give their sales team, the sales team is very diverse, different age groups, there's different cultural backgrounds too, which reflects the differences in diversity in our society today. And also they have not only expertise about the specific sport that they're selling clothes and accessories about, but they have a lot of autonomy in decision making. So, for example, if you ask them a question, they can take decisions on, you know, what kind of article to give you, or whether to offer it to you just so that you can practice it, etc. And they build a culture also by reaching out to their current clients via email, and depending on what you have bought, via their database, they know what you have bought. So then they organize exercises and sports activities that are specific for you, and they have the people that are working in the shops actually going with you and practicing that sport, and they give you articles from the sports shop for free so that you can try them out.
Yeah, and even in those activities they are doing, you can participate for free too. So they go beyond what they actually is just selling by giving you another experience and insight of the sport from the angle, of course, they see it as a professional, which is a super activity getting into, because then you have, well, if you are a nerd, you can nerd together with them, and that's good fun.
Yes, and I think there's the as far as I see, there's the expertise expertise of the salesperson, which is very important, and that's why having diversity in your company, in your sales team is important, but also actually integrating them and making them independent and giving them the permission to relate and to interact face to face and to take decisions with each customer as an individual is so important, because if we're buying face to face or if we're buying via the internet, we still want to be treated as individuals. Yes, Kim, is there something you wanted to say here? We lost the connection. So autonomy,
and that's yeah, because they do another thing, because they both have the so they do another thing. Can you hear me? They do another thing too. They are having both the branded marks, sports markets, Nike, New Balance, Adidas, whatever, but they also have their own brand. And then when you go for a specific sports article, they don't care whether it's one brand or the other. No, they go for the one which
the brand that best suits the customer,
is suitable for you.
Yeah,
which is very important too. They don't necessarily just aspire to one brand, even the having preferences for others.
Okay, so we talk about diversity and inclusion in the sales teams, about integrating people from different backgrounds and different age groups in the sales teams. We're talking about autonomy in making decisions and in advising clients. We're talking about respecting the needs and the wants of the clients, and creating a special experience for the client that will be a wow experience that will transform them into ambassadors for that brand, so that they keep coming back.
And still they try to wrap around the customer and let them stay with the good experience they're having by offering them something extra compared to the core product that they actually have bought.
Yes. Is there anything else that you would like to add, Kim, apart from that?
Well, besides from that extent or make a wow, as you describe it, experience for the products, it's also important to remember that it's not only one channel we're talking about today. It's a multiple number of channels which go through our marketing way too. And that means if we go social medias, well, we used to like to have control of everything. That goes both for shops and for customers and so forth. Well, we might not have that super control anymore, because one bad experience can easily accelerate negative from one customer, and another positive experience can also accelerate the other way around. So of course there is in this multiple channel way of growing marketing to remember both sides of the story. Normally we just hear one of them, but there are actually two sides.
But it's true what you're saying, and that reminds me of the companies that are now making an effort in doing sales via the internet, where actually you go into their website and they have a little chat box with a salesperson who is there, and the window just pops up, the chat box pops up, and there is Mark or Susan or somebody who is there to help you and advise you, not face to face, but to interact with you. And it's this individual interaction which is so important, and which builds the client relationship and the trust, and makes you want to buy.
and make you feel special as a customer. And that's going back to where I was starting. That's where we see the differences from today and one size fits all just a decade ago.
Yeah. I don't know, Isabel, is there something else that you would like to mention?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you, both of you, for making a very clear link between inclusion and customer service. And the thing I would like to comment is I've been working in the area of diversity and inclusion for many, many years. And especially now with our clients, some of our clients, the angle up to now was more from a human resources standpoint. So there have been a lot of work doing about how do we attract and retain the best talent? How do we create inclusion within the organization? What are the inclusive leadership behavior skills that we need to develop? So a lot of things were done, I would say, focused more on the internal organization. And it's only recently that some of our key clients are really aware of the importance of making this link between inclusion and customer service. And just thinking about 2 or 3 key partners that we have. So for example, Sodexo. At Sodexo, what is very interesting is they have the opportunity to actually serve 75 million customers a day.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's just incredible. And now they are very clear about saying, well, in fact, it means that every day we have 75 million opportunities to be inclusive. So that's, one way of doing it. One of our other key clients is L'Oréal. It's very clear for L'Oréal that inclusion now is a very key ingredient on how to attract and retain new clients. I think one of the vision of Jean-Paul Agon is how do we attract and retain 1 new billion of clients? Again, you can only do that if you are inclusive.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Whether it's another company like Hilti. Hilti is a major organization dealing with high premium tools and construction products. Inclusion is at the center of the overall ambition. So what I'm saying, and I'm sure I could talk about other clients that we have who have really understood the importance of not only linking inclusion within the organization, inside, looking at their HR management processes, the behavioral changes, etc., but also understand the importance of using inclusion as a tool, as a lever to optimize the quality of the relationship with their clients and future clients. So thank you for making this very strong link. I think we, as consultants, we need to always, remind our clients, managers, teams, the importance of looking not only internally, but also externally. Even though, people are talking about the business case for inclusion and diversity, and they always talk about, business performance to mirror our clients. So this is understood, but in action, we need to really support them. What does it mean?
What does it mean specifically?
Exactly. And with the very simple, practical example that both of you gave, I think it's already provides some insights about very simple actions. We're not talking about necessarily reinventing the world, but just finding practical, simple ways of bringing inclusion, but also, in the front line,
with
directly, directly with the clients and consumers.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have any questions from participants. Let's see. Don't hesitate to make to ask your questions.
And you have a button. If you look at your screen, on the bottom there is a Q&A's chat. So if you want to post any question, please do so. Otherwise, I might have one question to Kim. And I know, so sorry about the network, we
Internet
connection. Sometimes we lost you, because I think at the very beginning you mentioned the area of one size does not fit all. And I would love to hear more about that angle.
Yeah, and if I go to a very specific thing, our feet, our shoes. Some of you might be aware that yes, there's actually a standard for European feet and shoes, but they're different from African ones, and they're different from Asian ones, and they're different from American ones. And if you go to make a shoe, you need to make a, first thing is to make a last, the ground of the shoes, which actually tell the width and the length. And imagine a running shoe, which is a humongous market today. Mm-hmm. Then African feet are more slimmer than European ones, and so forth. So now you can see how a shoe industry have to make sure with the different last to the different continents, how they actually have to promote their shoes to them. That's one thing. Another thing is when they have to do their branding, they might have a specific sports well-known person they can use. What do you see today? They're actually using different persons for the branding, different colors. So you actually can use, they're trying to do two things. They're trying both to show that different colors, different players for all over the world they can use to make their global marketing, and at the same time still trying to make one size fits all, even though we know basically it's very difficult if possible. Mm-hmm. So that's, well, I started at one point, but still they try, because they're not loosen up completely their one size fits all. They try to keep into it, even though they're aware of how difficult it is. And why do they do that? Because of course it's much more expensive for them to make one commercial for Africa, one for Asia, and one for Europe, or one for the US, or however they would like to do it. I think we will see a tendency going that there will be one for each country in not that long time. Even language differences might be a challenge.
Thank you.
Interesting.
Thank you, Kim, for your additional insights. Yes. Okay. Well,
thank you.
I would like to thank you both. It was very interesting and very practical, very simple, and I feel the energy of going deeper.
Can I add one more comment?
Oh yes, please do so.
Because what we've been talking about has been the external one. I mean, how do we do related to the markets? But you would also see it internally when executing your strategy. Being big companies, you might even have to make different strategies for different markets, depending on how well penetrated or you are in the different markets. That's one thing. Another thing is all companies, we talk about disruption, because there's so many things that's actually saying that you're not able to make a strategy by doing it. But what does that lead back to? That leads back to the managers who would like to be in control. So they will be in a dilemma to make a strategy, make measurements, and follow up. And what is left there is the employees inside the organization who have to be measured, and who have to understand what they're measured on, why that specific figure, why the figure is the size it is, and how it actually is linked up to the total strategy. And that will be another challenge that we will see internally, and that will lead to differences between countries, and to accept differences even within employees. And that's going to be very interesting to follow in the years to come. So we'll see both externally, but we definitely also see it internally in the companies.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So what you're saying is that even the measurement processes might need some local adjustments.
Yes.
Otherwise, it will not be fair, and you will not be able to measure the same thing.
That's one thing, and then acceptance of that you're not measured necessarily on the same thing. So one could be measured on market shares, another could be measured on actually sales, even though they say both are subsidiaries of a bigger company or whatever it is. So yes, we have to accept that too. And even if we're having bonus systems linked to that, it's going to be different too. So it's not only market-wise, but also internally in the organization, in order to motivate and keep our personal insight, that we would need to also make adjustments individually and accept that we are measured individually within organizations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Was that clear?
Yes, thank you, Tim.
Thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you.
It was really a pleasure of spending this 45 minutes, 1 hour together, describing and highlighting the importance of inclusion and customer service. So as I said earlier, this has been recorded, so we make sure to put this video link on various platforms, whether it's on our Twitter, our Facebook, LinkedIn, so it will be everywhere. It will also be posted on our new Pluribus website, which is www.pluribus-europe.com. I'm doing my marketing now. And the good news is that this platform, this website, is going to be translated in Spanish and German and French. It's currently in English. And on that website, you could have a link to all our webinars, recording. And also, within the next day or two, you will have access to the list of all our 2018 webinar, because the idea was to plan them ahead of time, so you could also register and put them on your calendar. So it will be available in the next couple of days. Do not hesitate if you have any comments, questions, insights about that specific topic, inclusion.
To send them to us via LinkedIn.
Yes.
Yeah.
So either to Laura, to Laura, directly to you, to us, to the Pluribus email info. We would be more than happy to continue the conversation, because it's a big topic. And I think it's a growing topic, definitely, for organizations to really address it at a more strategic level. I think it makes sense. So thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you for your time. And see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Looking forward to that. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.